The sun beat down mercilessly on Silas Ward's northern pasture, where the wreckage of an overturned wagon lay scattered like the bones of a broken dream. Its wooden wheels spun lazily in the dust, creaking under the weight of devastation. Silas, a rancher whose body was betraying him with every labored breath, dismounted his horse with careful deliberation. The illness gnawing at him had left him gaunt, a shadow of the man who had built an empire in this unforgiving territory. The doctor's words echoed in his mind, 3 weeks, maybe 4. Yet, as he stood amidst the debris, a faint sound stopped him cold, a girl's voice, weak but resolute, calling out in Spanish. Silas followed the sound to the wreckage, where a girl, no older than 16, lay trapped beneath the wagon's splintered side. Her dark hair was matted with dust and blood from a cut above her eye, but her brown eyes blazed with a fierce will to survive. She pushed against the wood pinning her leg, her small hands leaving bloody prints. The sight stirred something in Silas, a memory of his late wife, Martha, whose determination had matched this girl's. Kneeling beside her, his aging joints protesting, Silas began working to free her. She flinched at his touch, fear flickering across her face, but when their eyes met, a silent understanding passed between them. The wagon had hit a rocky outcrop, scattering supplies across the pasture, torn sacks of flour, dented pots, and tattered clothing. As Silas strained to lift the wreckage, he noticed something that tightened his chest: children's clothes, small shoes, a broken wooden doll. This girl hadn't been alone. 3 sets of tiny garments lay strewn in the dust, each smaller than the last. The weight of her loss hit him hard. She was the sole survivor of a family fleeing hardship or chasing hope. With renewed urgency, Silas looped his horse's rope around the wagon for leverage. The girl, sensing his intent, pushed from her side. Together, they shifted the heavy frame just enough for her to pull her leg free. She winced but stood, her grip strong when Silas offered his hand. Her eyes scanned the wreckage, calling out in Spanish for her family, her voice breaking as the wind answered with silence. The reality of her solitude settled over her like a shadow. "What's your name?" Silas asked gently. "Esperanza Morales," she replied in accented English, her voice steady despite her grief. "I'm Silas Ward. This is my land." He gestured toward the horizon, where his ranch buildings shimmered in the distance. "You're safe now." But even as he spoke, Silas knew safety was uncertain. Esperanza was Mexican, traveling north through a territory where tensions ran high against outsiders. She needed more than shelter, she needed protection, someone to vouch for her right to exist here. As they salvaged what they could from the wreckage, loading it onto Silas's horse, he made a decision that surprised even himself. This girl, who had lost everything, had been delivered to his land just as he faced his own end. The ride to his ranch was silent, Esperanza's small frame rigid with grief behind him. His sprawling ranch house, with its wraparound porch and well-kept barns, must have seemed like another world to her. She dismounted carefully, favoring her injured leg, her sharp eyes cataloging everything, the prosperity, the isolation. "You live here alone?" she asked, her English clearer now. "Yes," Silas said, leading the horse to the barn. "My wife died 5 years ago. We never had children." Esperanza nodded, absorbing this. Inside the house, sparse and dusty from neglect, she studied the cold fireplace and worn furniture. "You are sick," she said abruptly, her tone matter-of-fact. "The way you move, the way you breathe. My grandmother was the same before she died." "How long?" Silas was startled by her directness but met it with honesty. 3 weeks, maybe 4. She nodded, unfazed. "Then we both have problems that need solving. You need someone to help you die with dignity, and I need someone to help me live." Before he could respond, the sound of approaching horses shattered the quiet. Through the window, Silas saw 4 riders kicking up dust, led by Sheriff Coleman, a hard man who favored simple solutions to complex problems. His 3 deputies, armed and grim, fanned out behind him. Esperanza moved toward the back of the house, but Silas stopped her. Stay. Running will only make it worse. Coleman dismounted, his hand resting on his gun belt. Afternoon, Silas. Heard you had visitors today. Wreckage in your north pasture, blood, no bodies. Found an injured girl. Helped her, Silas said evenly. That's what neighbors do. Coleman's eyes narrowed at the sound of Esperanza moving inside. Sounds like she's still here. Stepping onto the porch, Silas positioned himself between the sheriff and the house. Anyone on my property is under my protection. That's mighty close to obstruction, Coleman warned, his hand inching toward his revolver. The deputies closed in, their weapons glinting. Silas's heart pounded, his weakened body straining, but he held his ground. I'm standing on my own land, Sheriff. Last I checked, that wasn't a crime. Coleman's jaw tightened. We got word of a Mexican family with stolen goods. If you're harboring them, you're an accessory. Stolen goods. Silas's voice was ice. That girl lost her family today, and you call them thieves. Coleman seized on the slip. So there is a girl. Where's the rest? Dead, Silas said flatly. Wagon overturned. She's the only survivor. Esperanza stepped into the doorway, her chin high. I am Esperanza Morales. My family owned no stolen goods. We had papers. She produced a leather pouch, handing over travel documents, receipts, and a deed to her father's sold land in Mexico. Coleman scanned them reluctantly, his justification crumbling, but his resolve hardened. Papers or not, a Mexican girl alone here is trouble. For her safety, she comes with us. She's not alone, Silas said. She's staying here. Coleman drew his revolver, his deputies following suit. That's not your decision, old man. Silas's voice cut through the tension. Do you know who I am, Sheriff? I hold the notes on half the businesses in town. I funded the railroad that made this territory profitable. And I'm a dying man with no heirs, yet. He let the words sink in. You can arrest me, but every businessman who depends on my money will question a sheriff who harasses a dying man for showing charity. Coleman's face reddened, but doubt flickered in his eyes. The deputies hesitated, sensing the shift. After a long, tense moment, Coleman holstered his gun. This isn't over, Silas. That girl's trouble. He mounted his horse, and the riders retreated, dust trailing their departure. Silas sank into a porch chair, exhausted. Esperanza remained standing, her gaze fixed on the horizon. They'll come back, she said. Maybe, Silas replied. But things will be different. She sat beside him, her young face etched with grief and strength. What did you mean, no heirs? Silas explained, his voice steady. When Martha died, I thought my legacy would end. This ranch would go to men like Coleman. But seeing you fight under that wagon, I saw something else, a chance to choose family. Esperanza, would you stay here, not as a guest, but as my daughter, legally adopted, with all my rights and inheritance? Her breath caught, tears welling. Why would you do this for me? Because you deserve the life your family died for, he said. You have the spirit Martha and I had when we built this place. I want you to carry it forward. Yes, she whispered, her voice steady. I would be honored. The next morning, they rode to town, where lawyer Theodore Whitman drew up adoption papers and a will naming Esperanza as Silas's sole heir. The documents transformed her from a vulnerable orphan into a landowner with undeniable rights. When Coleman returned, he'd face not a fugitive, but a protected heiress. In the weeks that followed, Esperanza learned ranch management with astonishing speed, earning the respect of the hands. Silas watched her flourish, pride swelling in his fading heart. When his strength finally failed, she sat with him, reading letters from business partners who admired his remarkable daughter. Silas died peacefully 3 weeks later, buried beside Martha under their oak tree. Esperanza spoke to him in Spanish at his grave, promising to honor his legacy. The Ward Ranch thrived under her leadership, a testament to courage and chosen family. Sheriff Coleman never challenged her again, and Esperanza Ward became a symbol of hope on the frontier.